Hello, and thank you for joining us at HRAI's 2022 Annual General Meeting. I want to start by sharing my deep appreciation for the work you do to represent our industry and to enhance and protect the lives of Canadians. HRAI is pleased to welcome 100 new members this year coming from across Canada. I'm also happy to report an impressive 94% overall renewal rate and continued improvement in our membership satisfaction ratings. We continue to invest in supporting our members across Canada. HRAI now has permanent staff in BC, PEI, and Manitoba, as well as regional contracted reps in Nova Scotia, Manitoba, and Quebec. This team helps ensure a strong HRAI local presence and allows for more frequent networking opportunities. I'm also pleased to report that HRAI has added a new senior role to the executive team who has a primary focus on improving the HRAI impact outside of Ontario. Meetings like these are critical to HRAI's communication goals, which are to listen, inform, and engage. The only way this purpose is fulfilled is by interacting and learning from you, our members. Let's start with how HRAI listens. Operating in a vacuum and coasting on tradition are the enemies of growth. That's why HRAI listens to our industry partners, consultants, educators, consumers, and most of all, you. Whether the topic is Skilled Trades Ontario, the Canada Greener Homes Grant, City of Vancouver bylaw changes, or the introduction of heat pump sales training, HRAI places a high value on member input when it comes to tackling the issues of the day, be it through our surveys, discussions, or healthy debates. Let me share some notable listening moments that helped HRAI move us all towards strong industry consensus and improvement. In October 2021, HRAI brought over 70 members together for a successful strategy review. Our key topics were informed by prior focus groups, individual interviews, and online surveys, all of which have shaped HRAI's strategic priorities going forward to 2025. HRAI also hosted a consultation session to collect input on proposed Skilled Trades Ontario regulations. Industry stakeholders joined HRAI staff in reviewing the proposed regulations and drafted a consultation submission designed to bring Skilled Trades Ontario into better alignment with our industry's needs. On the Greener Homes front, NRCan partnered with HRAI to host an exclusive webinar session in which more than 200 registrants connected with NRCan program advisors to learn details about the program and provide feedback. This feedback, supplemented by an active committee of industry volunteers that meets regularly with NRCan, has resulted in positive adjustments to the program and a willingness on the part of NRCan to explore further changes. HRAI is also committed to keeping its members and industry professionals well informed. One way we do this is through education. When COVID required the shift from in-person to virtual courses, we believe the change would be temporary. Surprisingly, more people preferred to attend virtual courses, especially those who had travel and cost concerns. It turned out that the improved access led to increased success. Over the past year, HRAI delivered over 80 courses to almost 1,000 participants. There are also many new opportunities to improve and expand course offerings. For example, the International Ground Source Heat Pump Association has agreed for HRAI to be its exclusive delivery partner for geothermal training in Canada. And thanks to funding support from various municipalities, HRAI is developing a sales training course to help contractors promote the use of heat pump technologies. HRAI's webinars have remained a steady source of information. This year, HRAI's Technology Day webinars included presentations from more than 20 manufacturers, reached more than 3,000 registrants, and earned a satisfaction rating of 4 out of 5. Looking forward, HRAI will build on the success of its Technology Day webinars with the full 2022-2023 schedule. Lastly, HRAI's Government Relations quarterly reports are now offered in a webinar format. These sessions provide a bird's-eye view of HRAI's government relations initiatives and allow attendees to share their feedback in real time. Check out HRAI's YouTube channel to review past webinar sessions. Member and industry engagement are a priority at HRAI. Here are some of the highlights from the last year. This year's CMPX show attracted more than 350 exhibitors and roughly 9,000 attendees. Net revenue from the event will continue to support HRAI operations in the coming years. Budget submissions are an effective way of ensuring that our industry's voice is heard by governments. Equipped with valuable member input, HRAI engaged with governments at the federal and provincial level in 7 provinces to provide budget submissions that focused on several key points. Climate action programs for the commercial HVACR sector, support for IAQ awareness, and support for workforce development initiatives. The Federal Finance Committee's March 2022 report picked up on a number of themes raised by HRAI in its pre-budget recommendations, including working with the Canadian colleges for a resilient recovery to train up to 50,000 Canadians across the country to develop the specialized skills needed to work in the high-growth sectors of the low-carbon economy. Coordinating and complementing energy-efficient financing and incentive programs. Supporting and incentivizing the public and private sectors to accelerate deep energy retrofits. Supporting workforce capacity building, which is critical to achieving Canada's long-term climate targets in the building sector. Enabling an energy-efficient renovation wave in partnership with the provinces with annual investments of $10 billion to $15 billion per year for 10 years. HRAI's annual Day on the Hill provided members and the staff the opportunity to engage with 14 different MPs from 3 political parties. The message we shared is that our industry must be given the freedom to lead on actions to reduce carbon emissions in homes and buildings across Canada, with appropriate supports from government. That means supporting workforce development to facilitate the transition to new, cleaner technologies and ensuring the industry has a seat at the table much earlier in the process of program and policy development. Our messages were well received by MPs and government staff with numerous follow-up commitments. I also had the chance during this session to reveal HRAI's bold new climate leadership statement, which you will hear more about during this conference's climate change panel session. HRAI held its annual Queen's Park Day in March 2022 with various partner organizations such as HRAI, Women in HVACR, the Residential Heating and Ventilation Contractors Association, the Ontario Refrigeration and Air Conditioning Contractors Association, the Canadian Institute of Plumbing and Heating, and the Ontario Geothermal Association. The session was held virtually with members of Provincial Parliament at Queen's Park to discuss issues affecting the HVACR industry and Ontarians. More than 75 volunteers made themselves available for more than 14 meetings. Building on member inputs, HRAI has been presenting a consistent, clear, and representative voice with NRCan on the Greener Homes Grant Program. Member feedback has been crucial. HRAI's government relations team continues to meet with NRCan to share your insights and questions to help improve the rollout of this program. Specifically, we have discussed product listing process improvements, improved industry communications, broadening of program terms, details and timing on the introduction of zero-interest financing, and the creation of a network of credentialed contractors. NRCan has expressed a strong interest in supporting HRAI's outreach to municipalities and their local climate action programs, as NRCan also sees the benefit in a consistent policy approach at this level. Earlier this year, HRAI submitted a funding proposal to the Sectoral Workforce Solutions Program to help fund an aggressive climate-focused workforce development plan. Our ask was for $6.85 million to support the development and rollout of new industry training aimed at preparing the HVACR workforce for the emerging needs of a low-carbon economy. Much of the funding will be a direct subsidy to technicians and business owners who might not otherwise act upon training opportunities. If successful, HRAI would be expected to commence work in the fall of 2022 and complete the proposed project in 18 months. This is a very aggressive timeline, but with member support, we believe we can get the job done. HRAI has undertaken several actions to grow our presence and involvement across Canada. Here are some highlights. In fall 2022, HRAI agreed to participate in the BC Building Electrification Coalition, which includes numerous and ongoing consultation sessions. A recurring theme in these sessions is the need for a skilled workforce to deliver on the goals and expectations that come from the electrification of heating in the province. HRAI has been calling for the introduction of a residential trade, and there appears to be growing support for this amongst other stakeholders. HRAI participated as an advisor in the Vancouver Economic Commission's Heat Pump Technology Attraction Study. Early research confirmed HRAI's initial suggestion that it would be extremely difficult to attract heat pump manufacturers to actually produce in the province, which was the official goal. Although there might be some Canadian air and ground source heat pump players who might consider expanding into BC under the right circumstances. The BC government's out-of-the-blue announcement about eliminating PST on heat pumps while raising PST on fuel-burning heating systems was a shock, to say the least. In response, HRAI issued a letter to the BC Minister of Finance questioning why the government provided no opportunity for consultation and almost no time to come into compliance. Governments acting without consultation and implementing programs with unreasonable timelines remains a frustration that HRAI will continue to work against. Ontario is making a substantial investment to further promote the skilled trades to young people. This investment, along with the establishment of the new Crown agency Skilled Trades Ontario, comes in response to a number of activities aiming to solve Ontario's skilled worker shortage. While it is still early days, the directions being taken by this government clearly reflect the inputs of HRAI, both directly and through their formal consultation processes, including the transition of the gas technician program to a certified Red Seal trade. Elsewhere, thermostat manufacturers were pleased to hear that HRAI's meetings with the Resource, Productivity and Recovery Authority, the RPRA, made an impact on their decision to maintain the annual registration fee at $7,500, rather than doubling it as originally proposed. After extensive consultations with our Nova Scotia members over the past 2 years, HRAI submitted an official application to the Nova Scotia Apprenticeship Authority for the establishment of a residential trade focused on the unique needs of the residential HVAC sector. A major surge in the popularity of residential heat pumps throughout the region has exposed a skills gap between what the market needs and what the HVAC industry is currently able to deliver. At the request of the Atlantic Regional Council, the goal will be to create a Red Seal designation for the heat pump trade, which will allow interprovincial mobility of qualified workers. Prompt payment is still an issue these days, and I'm pleased that there was new legislation that will protect Saskatchewan contractors from payment delays. The Government of Saskatchewan announced that on March 1st of this year, the Builders' Lien Amendment Act of 2019 will be proclaimed into force. These changes are similar to amendments recently introduced in Ontario and Nova Scotia that were in part initiated by the National Trade Contractors Council of Canada, of which HRAI is a proud supporting member. In January 2022, HRAI met with Alberta Environment and Parks to discuss a proposed extended producer responsibility framework. Policy advisors were shown how the HRAI thermostat recovery program is a successful attempt by the industry to responsibly collect and manage sunset products like thermostats. I am also pleased to report that HRAI has recovered financially from the early impacts of the pandemic, specifically the cancellation of CMPX 2020. HRAI took a large financial loss from the late cancellation of the show, but since then has been able to grow revenues and reduce costs, allowing our reserves to grow past pre-pandemic levels. I come from an HVAC family. My father started out as a pneumatic controls technician and ended his 40-year career doing project sales. My brother has owned a successful HVAC contracting company that also happens to be an HRAI member for more than 20 years, and I've had the pleasure of working for two industry leaders over the last 32 years. A great industry mentor and friend once told me that when an industry has been good to you and your family, you're obliged to give back to it. I hope serving HRAI for the past years has been a productive way to do this. Remember that it's our association with members, colleagues, public sector representatives, and fellow Canadians that truly guides our mission, our passion, and our success. It's been an honor to be associated with all of you, and I sense good things in the air for all of us.